Harry Potter and the Deadly Hallows by J.K. Rowling, Chapter 1, The Dark Lord Ascending. In a grand, torch-lit room, Voldemort presided over a meeting of Death Eaters. Lucius Malfoy's former drawing room had become the Dark Lord's command center. Around the table sat loyal followers, their fear palpable. Charity Burbage, the Muggle studies teacher, hung bound and gagged above them, pleading with her eyes. Voldemort's voice was cold. "We are joined here tonight in unity. The Ministry will fall. Potter's protections will fail when he comes of age." He turned to Snape. "The date?" "They move him July 31st. "Good. I shall attend to Potter myself." Voldemort mocked Lucius for losing his wand and power. Narcissa and Draco sat silent, eyes downcast. Charity sobbed through her gag. "Please, Severus." Voldemort raised his wand. Avada Kedavra. The body crashed to the table. Nagini slithered forward, feeding. "We begin the new world," Voldemort whispered. "And Potter will die." Chapter 2, In Memoriam. Harry sat in his small bedroom at Privet Drive, surrounded by the clutter of a life he was about to leave behind. Old school essays, broken quills, and news clippings littered his bed. His trunk sat open, half-packed. The weight of the moment pressed on him. This was the last time he'd ever be here. He unfolded a yellowing copy of the Daily Prophet and read Elphias Doge's obituary for Albus Dumbledore. It spoke of a brilliant, kind man, defender of Muggle rights, and leader of the resistance against Grindelwald. But to Harry, the words rang hollow. He couldn't shake the growing unease inside him. Who was Dumbledore, really, he wondered. The next page held a piece by Rita Skeeter, an excerpt from her upcoming book, The Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore. It was vicious and full of innuendo. Dumbledore's father imprisoned for attacking Muggles, his reclusive sister, and a close bond with the dark wizard Grindelwald in youth. The tone was mocking, gleeful in tearing down a hero. Harry's hands clenched the paper. The man he had trusted more than anyone else had lived with secrets he never shared. He glanced at the photograph in Doge's piece, Dumbledore smiling serenely. Harry remembered their time together, the night they hunted the locket, the pain in Dumbledore's face, the weight he carried. Harry had wanted to believe in him completely. Now, doubt crept in. "You knew I'd ask," Harry muttered to the photograph. "Why didn't you just tell me?" He stared out the window. The sky was overcast, heavy with summer heat. He thought of the mission ahead, of Horcruxes, of Voldemort, of what Dumbledore had left unfinished. Despite everything, Harry knew what he had to do. He folded the paper, pushed the doubts aside, and turned back to packing. He would find the truth in time. But for now, he would follow the path Dumbledore had set him on, whatever that path cost. Chapter 3, The Dursleys Departing. The morning was overcast when Harry descended the stairs at Privet Drive. The air in the house was thick with tension. Dudley stood awkwardly near the door, a large suitcase at his feet. Uncle Vernon paced, red-faced and bristling with suspicion. "So," said Uncle Vernon brusquely, "you still expect us to leave?" "Yes," Harry said quietly. "The Ministry will send protective escorts. It's the only way you'll be safe. Voldemort knows I lived here. Once I turn 17, the charm protecting this house ends." A silence fell. Vernon eyed Harry warily. "We could stay. We have locks, alarms." "They won't stop him," Harry said. Then the doorbell rang. Daedalus Diggle and Hestia Jones had arrived, wearing bright robes and cheery smiles. "Ready to go, are you?" Diggle asked, beaming. Vernon scowled. "This is preposterous. I will not be herded away by lunatics in cloaks." "You'll be targeted," Hestia said sternly, "your son included. You're lucky Harry cares enough to make sure you're protected." Vernon faltered. His anger didn't seem to carry weight anymore. Dudley shifted. Then he turned to Harry. "I don't think you're a waste of space." Harry blinked. "Thanks," he said, surprised. Dudley stuck out his hand. They shook. Hestia looked puzzled. "You saved his life, didn't you? Why isn't he with you?" Harry didn't answer. There was no point in explaining years of resentment, silence, and distance. But maybe, just maybe, it was changing. The Dursleys walked out the door, Dudley glancing back. Harry stood alone in the hallway. The walls, once covered with photos of Dudley, seemed colder now. The end of the only home he had ever known had come, and still the war waited. Chapter 4: The 7 Potters. The night before his 17th birthday, Harry waited at Privet Drive, restless. Then a loud thud outside. Hagrid had arrived on Sirius's flying motorbike. From the sky came brooms and festrels. The yard filled with Order members, Moody, Lupin, Tonks, Kingsley, and more. Harry greeted Ron and Hermione quickly before Moody laid out the plan. "We can't all apparate with you. Too dangerous, so we're creating decoys." 6 Harrys stepped out. Fred, George, Ron, Hermione, Fleur, and Mundungus transfigured with Polyjuice Potion. Harry stared. "This is mad!" "It's the safest way," Moody said. "Each Harry will travel with a protector to a different safe house." Fleur, now a clone of Harry, scowled. "Bill, don't look at me like that." Harry drank the last of the Polyjuice and mounted the motorbike with Hagrid. The others took off. But the skies were not empty. Moments after they rose, Death Eaters swarmed in. Spells flashed like lightning. "They knew!" Harry yelled. Hedwig's cage shattered. The owl dropped lifelessly from the bike. Hagrid growled and turned the bike into a dive. Voldemort appeared, soaring without a broom. Harry's scar exploded in pain. Green light flashed. Hagrid jerked the bike aside. Harry fired curses blindly, clutching the handlebar. Voldemort was gaining. Then, snap! The borrowed wand in Harry's hand discharged a golden flame that struck Voldemort's own wand and shattered it. The bike spun out of control. They crashed. Harry woke to a strange ceiling, blood pounding in his ears. He was alive. Hagrid groaned nearby. Someone helped him up. "You're at Ted and Andromeda Tonks's house. You're safe." Safe, but only barely. And the night was far from over. Chapter 5: Fallen Warrior. Harry stood shakily, the crash still ringing in his bones. Tonks and her parents had helped him and Hagrid inside. Harry's first question: did anyone else make it? One by one, others arrived. Ron and Tonks, then George, bleeding, pale, and missing an ear. "Snape," Lupin said grimly. "Sectum sempra." George tried to joke. "Ear-related humor only, please." Hermione and Kingsley appeared next. Tension built with every moment someone remained missing. Finally, Mr. Weasley arrived with Fred. Relief rippled through the group, but one absence loomed. Mad-Eye. "He's gone," Bill confirmed. He tried to cover Mundungus, but they were ambushed. Dung disapparated. Lupin's fury erupted. "He abandoned us!" The room fell into stunned silence. Moody gone. Harry felt a strange numbness. Another name on the list. Another loss. They sat, trying to absorb it. Lupin tested Harry, demanding proof of his identity. "What creature sat in the corner the first time you visited my office at Hogwarts?" "A Grindylow in a tank." Satisfied, Lupin nodded. Had to be sure. Voldemort can impersonate people now. As dawn broke, Harry slipped away. The night had stolen Hedwig, his firebolt, and Mad-Eye. Worse, Voldemort now knew when and where to strike. His protection was ending, and the war was just beginning. Chapter 6. The Ghoul in Pajamas. Grief still hung over the burrow after Mad-Eye's death. Harry felt it like a physical weight and grew restless. "We need to leave soon," he said to Ron and Hermione. "We've got Horcruxes to find." "Not till your trace lifts on the 31st, Ron reminded him. "We're staying through the wedding." Mrs. Weasley, however, had other ideas. She kept the trio constantly busy, denoming the garden, folding napkins, cleaning. Harry soon realized the jobs were designed to keep them apart. "She's trying to stop us planning," Ginny whispered. Harry was cornered by Mrs. Weasley, who demanded to know what he, Ron, and Hermione were up to. "Dumbledore left me something to do," Harry said. "It's important, but I can't tell you." She switched tactics quickly. Asking for help with wedding preparations, Harry agreed, uneasy. Later, Harry had a private moment with Ginny. She gave him a kiss, her birthday gift to him. It was intense, tender, an echo of what might have been. But Ron walked in, furious, and the moment shattered. Harry's resolve to keep her safe hardened again. That night, the burrow bustled. The Order was using it as headquarters now that Grimmauld Place was compromised. Mr. Weasley explained the Fidelius charm was failing. Mad-Eye put some traps in place for Snape, but we can't be sure. They discussed Mad-Eye's missing body, the Ministry's silence, and Scrimgeour's refusal to admit Voldemort's strength. "They don't want the public to panic," said Mr. Weasley, "but they're terrified." Harry's knuckles whitened around his fork. He remembered Umbridge and the scars she left. "I must not tell lies." Fleur mentioned Harry's disguise for the wedding. Even at this moment, danger loomed. The world outside was on fire, and they were folding napkins. But their mission was waiting, just beyond the veil of normality. And the clock was ticking. Chapter 7. The Will of Albus Dumbledore. On the morning of Harry's 17th birthday, he woke to find his trace gone. He was of age. Ron gave him a book of wizard jokes. Hermione, a new sneakoscope. Mrs. Weasley gifted him a watch that had belonged to her brother. It was scratched, worn, and perfect. Ginny gave him a kiss before breakfast, one last shared moment. But the light mood faded when Rufus Scrimgeour arrived, grim-faced. "I'm here on ministry business, regarding the late Albus Dumbledore's will." He produced a scroll and read it aloud. Dumbledore had left Ron the Deluminator, Hermione the Tales of Beedle the Bard, a book of wizard fairy tales, Harry the first golden snitch he ever caught, and the sword of Godric Gryffindor. But Scrimgeour withheld the sword. "It was not Dumbledore's to give. It belongs to the school." Harry grew furious. What right do you have to interfere with his will? The Ministry must ensure these items are not dark objects or coded messages. Harry clenched his fists. "You're just trying to stop us doing what he wanted." Scrimgeour glared at him. "Are you the chosen one or not, Potter? Are you working with Dumbledore's orders or not?" Harry met his eyes. "Dumbledore trusted me. That's all you need to know." Eventually, Scrimgeour left, frustrated. Ron pocketed the Deluminator. Hermione examined her book. Harry turned the snitch over in his hands. It glowed faintly, but revealed nothing. They stared at the closed door. Whatever Dumbledore had meant by these gifts, it was now up to them to discover. The clock had struck 17, and the real journey had begun. Chapter 8. The Wedding. The burrow bloomed with flowers, music, and excitement. Fleur Delacour looked radiant, and Bill wore his werewolf scars with pride. Guests filled the garden. Family, order members, ministry officials, and distant magical relatives. Harry, disguised as Weasley cousin Barney, watched it all with quiet unease. He kept one hand on his wand. Luna danced dreamily cast, wearing a sunflower yellow outfit. Her father, Xenophilius, sported a curious symbol on a chain. Hermione narrowed her eyes. That rune, it's been popping up everywhere. The ceremony was brief and beautiful. Mr. Weasley beamed. Mrs. Weasley cried. As Bill and Fleur kissed, golden birds soared overhead. Afterward, Harry mingled. Elphias Doge cornered him to praise Dumbledore. Auntie Muriel chimed in loudly, scoffing at Doge's claims. "You didn't know half of it," Muriel said. "His sister was a squib, locked up, tragic." Harry's heart sank. More secrets, more doubt. Then Kingsley's Patronus, a lynx, burst into the marquee. "The ministry has fallen. Scrimgeour is dead. They are coming." Panic erupted. A loud crack echoed. The protective charms shattered. Death Eaters were here. Chapter 9. A place to hide. Screams split the air. Spells flashed across the wedding. Harry, Ron, and Hermione disapparated into the unknown. They landed in Tottenham Court Road. Disoriented but alive, they ducked into a cafe. "We need somewhere safe," Hermione said. "Grimmauld Place?" Before they could move, 2 Death Eaters appeared. A duel erupted. Harry stunned one. Ron cursed the other. "How did they find us?" Ron panted. Hermione explained grimly. "They must be tracking you through the trace. The protections are gone." Desperate, they apparated to Grimmauld Place. It worked. The Fidelius charm held. They entered the dark, musty house. Everything was just as Sirius left it. Dusty, silent. Creature shuffled forward. Harry barked. "Did you betray us?" Creature shook his head. "I serve the master of the house. You, Harry Potter." Grimmauld Place became their base. They unpacked. Hermione summoned food from the kitchen. They took turns watching the windows. Harry passed the time searching. He discovered a room that might have belonged to Regulus Black. In it, a note signed R.A.B. It matched the locket from the cave. Creature confirmed it. "Master Regulus ordered me to destroy the locket, but I couldn't." The real Horcrux was stolen. By Mundungus Fletcher. Harry felt hope flare. "We're getting closer. Creature, you're going to help us." And for the first time, the old elf bowed with pride. Chapter 10. Creature's Tale. Harry woke early in the gloom of Grimmauld Place, thoughts churning. Dumbledore, the Horcruxes, and now Regulus Black, all tangled in mystery. He needed answers. He wandered through Sirius's old room. On the wall, a faded photo showed James, Sirius, Lupin, and Pettigrew grinning arm in arm. Beneath it, Harry found a letter from his mother to Sirius, Lily's handwriting, full of warmth, stories about baby Harry, and mentions of Dumbledore and Bathilda Bagshot. She wrote, "Dumbledore still has James's invisibility cloak." Harry paused. Why had Dumbledore kept it? Downstairs, Ron and Hermione woke to find Harry already reading. He showed them the letter and Regulus's room. The walls bore signs of resistance. Regulus had turned against Voldemort. Creature entered when called. At first hostile, he softened as Harry showed him kindness. The elf told his story. Master Regulus joined the Dark Lord. But he saw the truth. "He told me to take him to the cave. He took the Horcrux and drank the potion himself. He ordered me to switch the lockets and never told anyone. He died there." Creature wept as he remembered. "You tried to destroy the locket." "Yes, master, but I failed. Mundungus had stolen it." Harry's voice was firm. We'll find it, and we'll finish what Regulus started." Hermione looked stunned. He died trying to undo what he helped begin. Creature stood straighter. "What shall I do, Master Harry?" Harry said, "Find Mundungus. Bring him to us." Creature bowed low. A house elf, long mistreated, had become their ally. And with him, the pieces of the past were beginning to fit together. Chapter 11. The Bribe. Harry waited anxiously for Creature to return with Mundungus, but days passed. Tension built in Grimmauld Place. Two cloaked figures watched from outside. "Death Eaters," Ron muttered. "Think they know we're in here?" "No," Hermione said, though her eyes were wide. "If they did, they'd send Snape." Frustration grew. Ron toyed endlessly with the Deluminator. Hermione snapped, "Dumbledore left me this book for a reason." "And he gave me this," Ron argued, clicking the Deluminator again. Unable to bear their arguing, Harry left the room. Moments later, the front door opened. A dusty figure triggered Moody's trap. "It was not I who killed you, Albus," came a soft voice. "Don't move," Harry shouted, wand raised. Curtains flew open. Mrs. Black's portrait screamed. Ron and Hermione joined him just as the intruder stepped into the light. "Hold your fire. It's me, Remus." Lupin confirmed his identity with a list of personal facts. Harry lowered his wand. They sat in the kitchen, catching up. Lupin delivered grim news. The Ministry had fallen. Voldemort controlled it now. Severus Snape had been named Headmaster of Hogwarts. Lupin looked strained. "I want to join you. Help you." Harry blinked. "But, Tonks, the baby?" Lupin's face twisted. "You think I'm a coward? I want to make amends." "No," Harry said sharply. "I think you're making a mistake. Don't abandon your family." Lupin stormed out. Days later, Creature returned, dragging Mundungus Fletcher by the collar. The greasy thief whined, but when Harry demanded answers, he confessed. "The locket. Umbridge took it off me. Swiped it. I had to trade." Harry's chest burned. "She has the Horcrux? Dolores Umbridge?" The pieces were shifting again. Now they knew where the locket was, and they were ready to steal it back. Chapter 12. Magic is Might. The Ministry had fallen. Voldemort was in control. But within the thick walls of Grimmauld Place, Harry, Ron, and Hermione plotted. Their new target? Dolores Umbridge. The locket Horcrux was around her neck. Hermione devised the plan. Using Polyjuice Potion, they would impersonate Ministry employees and infiltrate from within. "We'll need hairs," she said. "We take them from workers near the entrance." They waited in a deserted alley until 3 Ministry workers passed by. A stunning spell and a quick hair collection later, they had their disguises. At the Ministry atrium, everything had changed. A massive black statue dominated the hall. Witches and wizards atop a mountain of naked muggles. "Magic is might," the engraving read. Harry, disguised as Runcorn, moved with Hermione and Ron through the grim corridors. They found Umbridge leading a Muggle-born registration commission. "That locket," Harry whispered. "She's wearing it." They ambushed her in her office. Stunning spells flew. Hermione snatched the locket. Ron dragged a chained Muggle-born to safety. Alarms blared. "We have to disapparate." They bolted, ducking curses and confusion, and escaped into the chaos. Landing hard in a forest, gasping, Hermione clutched the Horcrux to her chest. "We got it," she whispered. "One step closer." But they were on the run again, and now the Ministry knew someone was hunting Horcruxes. Chapter 13. The Muggle-born Registration Commission. They landed in a forest with a sharp crack. Harry groaned. His arm had been splinched. Hermione cast Dittany on the bleeding gash. "We have to be more careful," she said, pale and shaking. They set up the protective enchantments and pitched the tent. Ron and Hermione took turns watching while Harry rested, the Horcrux now hanging from a chain. They argued over what to do next. With the locket in hand, its power already radiated unease. No one wanted to wear it for long. "We need to destroy it," said Ron. "But how?" Hermione scoured her books. "We need something like basilisk venom or Gryffindor's sword." The days passed slowly. They moved camp frequently, avoiding Death Eater patrols. News came via the stolen radio and from the Daily Prophet. Muggleborns arrested, Hogwarts controlled by Snape, and people vanishing. Tension frayed their nerves. The locket amplified every doubt and fear. They began taking turns wearing it. Ron grew distant, angry. "We're not getting anywhere," he snapped one night. "No leads, no plan. Dumbledore left you no real instructions." Harry felt the sting. "You think I don't know that?" Ron paced. "Why are we living like this? Why aren't we at Godric's Hollow or anywhere that matters?" Hermione tried to soothe him. "We're safer here." But Ron had already decided. "I'm done. I'm going home." He pulled off the Horcrux and disapparated. The tent felt emptier than ever. Harry sat in silence, the locket heavy around his neck. Hermione curled into her sleeping bag, quietly crying. Their trio was broken, and winter crept in. Chapter 14, The Thief. Ron was gone. The days that followed dragged slowly. Snow fell and silence reigned in the tent. Hermione barely spoke. Harry kept watch, always hoping Ron would return. He never did. They moved camps constantly, each more remote than the last. Hermione read through Dumbledore's books in search of a way to destroy the Horcrux, but found nothing. At night, Harry took to staring at the Marauder's map, watching the tiny dot labeled Ginny Weasley move about the Hogwarts corridors. He felt distant from everything now. His mission, his friends, even himself. Eventually, Hermione suggested visiting Godric's Hollow. "It's where it all began," she said softly. "Your parents, the sword. Maybe there's something there," Harry agreed. It felt right, and maybe Dumbledore had left a clue. On Christmas Eve, they arrived in the snowy village, hidden under the invisibility cloak. Everything looked quiet and peaceful. They visited the graveyard, finding the resting places of James and Lily. Harry traced their names on the stone. "Together now," he whispered. Nearby, they found another grave, Ignotus Peverell. His stone bore a strange symbol, a triangle with a circle and line. Hermione frowned. "It's the same as Xenophilius Lovegood's necklace. What does it mean?" Before they could dwell on it, a cloaked figure appeared and beckoned them forward. Bathilda Bagshot. Harry followed, heart pounding. Inside her crumbling house, something felt wrong. Bathilda didn't speak. Her eyes were cloudy. She motioned Harry upstairs. Suddenly, pain exploded. His scar seared. Voices in his head. Voldemort. The old woman lunged. But she wasn't a woman. She was Nagini. The snake struck. Books shattered. Hermione screamed and cast spells wildly. They barely escaped, disapparating into the night, battered and bleeding. The Horcrux, still around Harry's neck, burned cold, and Voldemort was closer than ever. Chapter 15, The Goblin's Revenge. Harry awoke in agony. His wand had shattered in the escape from Godric's Hollow. Hermione sat nearby, tear-streaked, whispering apologies. It was the only way, she said. We were going to die. The loss hit him hard. His wand, twin to Voldemort's, was irreplaceable. They moved camp again, hiding deeper in the forest. The locket grew heavier, the silence deeper. Hermione kept researching, but without progress. Harry's dreams grew worse. Voldemort was furious. Someone had broken into Grindelwald's old prison. The Elder Wand. Voldemort was searching for it. Hermione finally cracked part of the mystery. That symbol, on the grave and Lovegood's necklace, it's the sign of the Deathly Hallows, a legend. Harry listened, half-focused. He felt directionless. No Ron, no wand, no plan. One evening, they heard movement outside the tent. 2 voices, snatchers. Harry cast a disillusionment charm just in time. Greyback, the werewolf, stalked outside with other bounty hunters. They were looking for runaways. The group moved on, but it was a close call. Later that night, Hermione tried to lift his spirits. We'll find another way. There's still hope. But Harry stared into the dark, clutching the broken wand. The pieces were slipping through his fingers, and time was running out. Chapter 16. Godric's Hollow. Though they had barely survived their last encounter, Harry couldn't shake the pull of Godric's Hollow. It's where it all began, he said. Maybe there's something there we missed. Hermione hesitated, but finally agreed. Disguised under the invisibility cloak, they crept through the snow-covered village. Christmas lights glowed warmly in windows, but the streets were empty. The place felt frozen in time. They passed a war memorial that morphed into a statue of James, Lily, and baby Harry when approached. Harry stared, silent. Hermione gripped his arm. They found the graveyard. Lily and James Potter lay beneath white stone. Together now, Harry whispered. Tears stung his eyes. Hermione placed a wreath of Christmas roses. Nearby, another grave caught their eye. Ignotus Peverell, marked with the strange symbol. The triangle, the circle, and the line. Hermione murmured, "We've seen it before on Xenophilius Lovegood." Before they could investigate further, a cloaked figure appeared in the snow. "Bathilda?" Harry asked. She beckoned silently. Warily, they followed her to her crooked cottage. Inside, dust and silence. Everything felt wrong. She said nothing, just stared. Upstairs, the illusion shattered. Bathilda's body collapsed. Nagini emerged, striking. The snake coiled, deadly. Voldemort's presence pressed into Harry's mind. Hermione burst in, casting spells. Chaos, shattered glass, fire. They escaped by inches. Harry awoke later, dazed. His wand was broken. The locket still pulsed coldly against his chest. They had found no answers in Godric's Hollow. Only more loss. Chapter 17. Bathilda's Secret. Harry drifted in and out of sleep, the pain from Voldemort's presence still echoing in his scar. Hermione sat nearby, pale and shaken. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I panicked. I didn't know what she was." "It wasn't your fault," Harry replied, but the weight of it pressed down. His wand was broken. The pieces sat useless beside him. Voldemort had nearly killed him. Again. They discussed the attack. Hermione had taken Bathilda's copy of The Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore. She flipped through it, reading about Dumbledore's friendship with Grindelwald. "It says they planned a new order together," Hermione said. Harry felt cold. Why didn't he ever tell me? Grindelwald had been expelled from Durmstrang for dark experiments. He came to Godric's Hollow, met Dumbledore, and for one summer, they were inseparable. Then came the tragedy. Dumbledore's sister, Ariana, died during a three-way duel between Albus, Grindelwald, and Aberforth. Hermione closed the book. "He was just a boy," she said softly. But Harry felt betrayed. Did Dumbledore really care about power more than people? The silence between them stretched. Outside, snow continued to fall, and far away, Voldemort searched for a wand greater than all others. The Elder Wand, and he was getting closer. Chapter 18: The Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore. Snow piled against the tent as Harry read Rita Skeeter's twisted portrait of Dumbledore. Hermione tried to downplay it, but Harry couldn't shake his unease. The book painted a Dumbledore he didn't know, ambitious, secretive, drawn to dark ideas. It claimed he had plans to rule Muggles alongside Grindelwald, that they called it the greater good. Harry stared at the photograph of young Dumbledore and the sharp-faced boy beside him, Grindelwald. In the background stood a girl, Ariana. "What happened to her?" Harry murmured. Hermione hesitated. Aberforth blamed Albus for her death. No one knows what spell killed her. Harry felt sick. He never told me. Not about her. Not about the wand. Not about anything. Hermione tried to soothe him. "He trusted you, Harry. He left you the sword, the snitch, the mission. That matters." But Harry wasn't sure anymore. Why had Dumbledore kept so much hidden? Was the path they followed truly his plan, or just pieces of a life no one had understood? Outside, the cold deepened, and the locket still pulsed darkly against Harry's chest. Their faith in Dumbledore was all they had, and it was beginning to crack. Chapter 19: The Silver Doe. The forest lay silent under snow when Harry woke to a glow through the trees. A figure moved, a silver doe. Without waking Hermione, he followed it. The doe led him to a frozen pond. Beneath the ice, the sword of Gryffindor. Harry stripped down and dove. The freezing water stabbed his lungs. As he grasped the sword, the locket Horcrux around his neck tightened like a noose. He surfaced, gasping, but the chain was strangling him. Suddenly, arms yanked him from the water. Coughing, Harry looked up. "Ron?" Ron stood, soaked, holding the sword. "You didn't really think I'd stay away." Harry grinned weakly. "How did you find us?" Ron explained. The Delaminator had led him back. It guided him to their voices, even when they moved. It brought him to the doe. Harry hesitated. "You should be the one to destroy it, the Horcrux." They opened the locket. It spewed visions of Harry and Hermione together, taunting Ron's worst fears. Enraged, Ron swung the sword. The locket shattered. Ron sank to his knees, shaking. It was horrible, but it's gone. Back at the tent, Hermione stared when Ron stepped inside. Then she exploded. "You ditched us, you—" Ron took the scolding, guilt plain on his face. Eventually, they sat together, united again. One Horcrux down, the sword in hand. Hope, fragile but real, returned to the firelight. And the silver doe remained a mystery. Chapter 20: Xenophilius Lovegood. With Ron back, the trio felt renewed. They decided to follow the symbol they kept seeing, the triangle, circle, and line. Hermione suggested they visit the one man who wore it proudly, Xenophilius Lovegood. They arrived at the Lovegoods' crooked house. Xenophilius welcomed them, but he looked nervous. "You're here about the symbol?" he asked. "That's the mark of the Deathly Hallows." Hermione was skeptical. "They're just a fairy tale." "Oh, no!" Xenophilius said, eyes wide, "The Hallows are real." He explained, the Elder Wand, unbeatable, the Resurrection Stone, to call back the dead, the Invisibility Cloak, perfect concealment. Harry froze. My cloak, could it be one of them? He remembered stories Dumbledore told. Could that have been the point all along? Xenophilius grew jumpy. He left the room often. Hermione whispered, "Something's wrong." Then the trap was sprung. Death Eaters arrived outside. "He betrayed us," Ron said bitterly. "He wants Luna back." Xenophilius admitted it, trembling. "They took her. I had to try." Harry stunned him. The trio used the moment to escape, blasting the printing press apart. They disapparated just as the house exploded behind them. Breathless in a new clearing, Harry whispered, "The Hallows." Hermione still doubted. Ron looked unsure. But Harry felt it. Somehow, they were at the heart of it now. Horcruxes or Hallows. And he didn't know which path to choose. Chapter 21. The Tale of the Three Brothers. At Xenophilius Lovegood's, Harry, Ron, and Hermione sat tensely as he explained the symbol, the Deathly Hallows. "What are they?" asked Hermione. Xenophilius leaned forward. "You know the tale of the three brothers, don't you?" Hermione pulled the Tales of Beetle the Bard from her bag and began to read. Three brothers reached a river too deep to cross. They conjured a bridge, but Death appeared, angry at being cheated. Pretending to reward them, he offered each a gift. The eldest, power-hungry, asked for the most powerful wand. Death fashioned the Elder Wand. The second asked to bring back the dead. Death gave him the Resurrection Stone. The youngest asked only to pass unnoticed. Death gave him a true invisibility cloak. Harry, entranced, whispered, "That sounds like my cloak." Ron shifted. "So these are the Hallows? The wand, the stone, and the cloak?" "Yes," Xenophilius confirmed. "Together, they make one the Master of Death." Hermione was skeptical. "It's just a story. You're chasing a fairy tale." But Harry felt something deeper. It all connected. The stone in the ring, the cloak he owned, the unbeatable wand Voldemort now sought. Just as realization bloomed, Harry noticed Xenophilius growing anxious. Too anxious. "They took Luna," he admitted. "If I bring you to them, they might let her go." Moments later, Death Eaters were at the door. Chaos erupted. The trio fled under the invisibility cloak, escaping as the house exploded behind them. In the silent aftermath, the tale still echoed in Harry's mind. The Deathly Hallows were real, and Voldemort was already hunting one of them. Chapter 22. The Deathly Hallows. Harry couldn't sleep. The tale of the three brothers haunted him. He now believed the Hallows were real and that Voldemort was after the Elder Wand. He told Ron and Hermione, "That's what he's after. The unbeatable wand. He thinks Dumbledore had it." Hermione wasn't convinced. "Even if they're real, we're supposed to be finding Horcruxes, not chasing fairy tales." But Harry was obsessed. He remembered the night Dumbledore died, how the wand flew from his hand. Snape must have taken it. That's why Voldemort wanted him dead. Hermione countered, "Even if you get the Hallows, it doesn't change our mission. Destroy the Horcruxes, that's how we beat him." Harry's focus slipped further. He dreamed of Voldemort, searching for the wand. Finally, he found it, buried with Dumbledore. Harry woke with a gasp. He's got it. Voldemort has the Elder Wand. Ron and Hermione stared at him, pale. Outside, the snowy world was still. Inside, the tide had shifted. Now Voldemort had the most powerful wand in existence, and the balance had tilted. Chapter 23. Malfoy Manor. Their luck ran out in the woods. Snatchers caught them. Scabior, Greyback, and others. Disguised with jinxes, the trio hoped not to be recognized. But when Hermione used a false name, and Harry's scar was spotted. Suspicion deepened. They were dragged to Malfoy Manor. Bellatrix Lestrange's eyes widened when she saw Gryffindor's sword. "Where did you get this?" she screamed. She believed it still rested in her vault at Gringotts. Terrified it had been stolen, she stopped them from being taken to Voldemort. Harry and Ron were thrown in the cellar with Luna, Ollivander, and Griphook the Goblin. Upstairs, Hermione was tortured for information. Harry's rage boiled. He called for help through the shard of Sirius's mirror. Moments later, Dobby apparated into the cellar. Dobby has come to rescue Harry Potter. Together, they plotted. Dobby would return for them after retrieving Hermione and Griphook. Above, Bellatrix shrieked. Ron sobbed, fists clenched. Then a crash. Harry and Ron stormed the room. Bellatrix held a knife to Hermione's throat. Harry disarmed Draco. The wand flew into his hand. Dobby appeared. Chandeliers crashed. Screams rang. They grabbed the prisoners and vanished. They landed on a beach. Safe. But in Harry's arms, Dobby bled. Such a beautiful place to be with friends. And then he was gone. Harry dug the grave himself. No magic, just love. He carved the stone by hand. Here lies Dobby, a free elf. The cost was rising, but so was Harry's resolve. It was time to finish what they'd begun. Chapter 23, Malfoy Manor. While camping, the trio were ambushed by snatchers. Hermione's quick thinking disfigured Harry's face with a stinging hex, buying time. But they were captured. Dragged to Malfoy Manor, they were thrown before Lucius, Narcissa, and Draco. Bellatrix Lestrange noticed Gryffindor's sword and panicked. "Where did you get that?" she shrieked. Lucius urged Draco to identify Harry. Draco hesitated. I can't be sure." Bellatrix took over. Hermione was dragged away, screaming under the Cruciatus curse. Ron yelled and struggled, held by Fenrir Greyback. Harry and Ron were thrown into the cellar, where they found Luna, Ollivander, and Dean. Harry's scar burned. Voldemort was coming. Upstairs, Hermione's screams continued. Ron pounded the walls. Then Dobby appeared. "Dobby has come to rescue you." Together they devised a plan. Dobby would take Luna, Dean, and Ollivander to safety first, then return. Meanwhile, Bellatrix tortured Hermione for information about the sword. When Dobby returned, chaos erupted. Ron and Harry broke out. A wand was tossed. Harry caught it and disarmed Bellatrix. As they disapparated, Bellatrix threw a knife. They landed in Shell Cottage. Dobby collapsed. Harry cradled him. "Help me," Dobby whispered. "Such a beautiful place to be, with friends." And died. Harry dug a grave with his own hands. He carved into the stone, "Here lies Dobby, a free elf." Chapter 24, The Wandmaker. Harry stood at Dobby's grave, silent. A resolve hardened within him. No more distractions. No more chasing legends, only Voldemort and the Horcruxes. Inside Shell Cottage, Ollivander was recovering. Harry questioned him about the Elder Wand. Ollivander confirmed its legend and that Voldemort had tortured him for information. "He seeks the wand from the tomb of Dumbledore," Ollivander whispered. Harry knew Voldemort had it now. Then he questioned Griphook the Goblin about breaking into Gringotts. Griphook agreed, but only if Harry gave him the sword of Gryffindor. Ron and Hermione were uneasy. The sword was the only Horcrux killer they had. But Harry agreed, though silently he never intended to give it up until the mission was complete. As they planned the heist, Harry felt the pressure mounting. Voldemort was moving faster. Time was running out, but they had a plan, and Harry had a purpose again. Chapter 25, Shell Cottage. Shell Cottage became a brief refuge. Outside, the sea whispered across sand. Inside, tension simmered. Griphook agreed to help them break into Bellatrix's vault, but remained cautious. You must understand, goblins consider wizard ownership of goblin-made items theft. Harry nodded, hiding the fact he didn't plan to give the sword away permanently. As they planned the heist, Fleur tended the wounded, and Bill eyed the goblin warily. Hermione practiced spells to mimic Bellatrix. Polyjuice potion brewed on the windowsill. Harry grew restless. His scar pulsed with visions, Voldemort discovering the Elder Wand's limits. The wand didn't feel truly his. One night, Harry walked the beach, gazing up at the stars. "You're thinking about Dobby," Ron said, joining him. Harry nodded. He saved us, gave his life for it. They stood together in silence, listening to the sea. In the morning, Griphook made his terms clear. "I want the sword before we enter the vault." Harry hesitated. Deal. But he didn't mean it. Inside, a quiet certainty was taking root. They would break into Gringotts, and they would win or fall trying. Chapter 26, Gringotts. Disguised as Bellatrix, Hermione led Harry and Ron into Gringotts, with Griphook hidden under the invisibility cloak. Every step inside the gleaming bank was tense. "Madame Lestrange," said the goblin teller, eyeing Hermione's trembling form, "you wish to access your vault?" Hermione forced authority into her voice. "Yes, immediately." With reluctant approval, they were led to a cart. It plunged them deep underground, past dragons and waterfalls that washed away enchantments. Hermione's disguise flickered. "Hurry," Griphook hissed. They reached Bellatrix's vault. Inside, treasure piled high. The Horcrux, a cup belonging to Helga Hufflepuff, sat on a shelf. As soon as Harry touched it, the treasure began to multiply. Old poured from every surface, burying them. Ron grabbed Harry's arm as they struggled for air. "Accio cup," Hermione shouted. Nothing happened. Griphook snatched the sword and vanished. "He took it," Harry yelled. Trapped, outnumbered, and buried alive, Harry saw the dragon chained nearby. "We're going to ride it," he said. Moments later, they were on its back. Hermione blasted the chains. The beast roared and launched upward, tearing through the tunnels. Blinded by light, scorched by fire, they erupted into the sky above Diagon Alley. They tumbled off the dragon into a lake, wet, shaking, but alive. And in Harry's hands, another Horcrux. But in his mind, Voldemort was screaming. The cup was gone. And he knew. Chapter 27, the final hiding place. Drenched and breathless, they lay by the lake, the cup in hand. Harry's scar flared, visions of Voldemort, pacing the ruins of Gringotts, furious. He was checking his hiding places. The ring, the locket, the cup, all gone. Now he turned to Hogwarts. "There's another Horcrux there," Harry gasped. "Something hidden in the castle." Ron stared. "But what?" Hermione's eyes widened. "Ravenclaw's lost diadem, it fits, an ancient relic." They couldn't wait. The trio planned to enter Hogwarts through Hogsmeade. Under the invisibility cloak, they arrived in the village, only to set off a caterwauling charm. Alarms blared, Death Eaters appeared. The trio sprinted into the nearest building. Aberforth Dumbledore barred the door. He revealed himself as Albus's brother and reluctantly helped them. He summoned a secret passage that opened behind a portrait. Through it stepped Neville Longbottom, older, bruised, defiant. "Me've been waiting for you. Come on, then." They stepped into the tunnel toward Hogwarts, where the war would begin. Chapter 28. The Missing Mirror. The tunnel led from Aberforth Dumbledore's bar into the Room of Requirement, now transformed into a haven. Students had turned it into a secret resistance base. Seamus, Dean, Lavender, and others stood ready. Neville, leaner and tougher, grinned when he saw Harry. "Told you we'd keep it going." Dumbledore's army never left. Luna arrived, her expression dreamily calm. Harry asked about Ravenclaw's lost diadem. "There's a statue of her in the tower," she said. "It might help." Meanwhile, Harry noticed the broken mirror shard Aberforth kept. He realized suddenly, "You were the one watching me. You sent Dobby." Aberforth nodded gruffly. "Albus gave me the other half. Told me to keep an eye out." Harry hesitated. "You cared about him?" Aberforth scowled. "Albus always thought big, too big. Our sister paid for that." He told them the truth about Ariana, the duel between him, Albus, and Grindelwald, and how she was killed in the crossfire. "We never knew whose spell it was," he said quietly. "None of us were whole again." The guilt in his eyes reminded Harry of Dumbledore's, the same buried pain. Then the room shifted. The order had arrived. Lupin, Kingsley, Fred, Tonks. More poured in. McGonagall took charge, brisk and commanding. "We'll evacuate the underage and fight for the rest. Reinforce the corridors. Protect the students." Voldemort's voice echoed through the castle, vast and cold. "Give me Harry Potter, and no one else need die." The defenders braced, but no one stepped forward. Harry, looking around at the faces, his friends, his school, the place that had shaped him, felt a hard certainty settle inside. He would not run, he would not hide, and Voldemort would not win. Chapter 29. The Lost Diadem. As the castle prepared for war, Harry, Ron, and Hermione split up to search for the lost diadem of Ravenclaw. Luna led Harry through the winding staircases of Ravenclaw Tower. There, beneath the serene gaze of Rowena Ravenclaw's statue, Luna whispered, "Her daughter Helena stole the diadem." "Where is it now?" Harry asked. "You need to speak to her ghost," Luna replied. The Grey Lady appeared. Pale, sorrowful, she confessed. She had fled with the diadem, and Voldemort had found her and charmed it, turning it into a Horcrux. "Where did he hide it?" Harry pressed. Her voice trembled. A place he believed no one else had discovered. Harry's breath caught. The Room of Requirement. He raced there. Ron and Hermione joined him, Ron shouting, "We destroyed the cup!" Used a basilisk fang from the chamber. Harry grinned. Brilliant. In the ever-shifting room, Harry searched through mountains of discarded junk. At last, he found the diadem perched atop a bust. Then a voice. "Well, well, what do we have here?" Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle blocked the way. A duel broke out. Spells flew and Crabbe unleashed fiend fire, a magical blaze that turned into monsters, devouring everything. "Run!" Harry yelled. They escaped on brooms, the fire roaring behind them. As it consumed the room, it also consumed the diadem, outside. Scorched and shaken, Harry looked back. Another Horcrux destroyed. But their relief was brief. Percy had rejoined the fight, battling beside Fred. Then the wall exploded. Fred fell. Harry felt something inside him tear. There was no time to mourn. The battle was not over. The cost was rising. Chapter 30. The Sacking of Severus Snape. Fred's body lay among rubble. Percy knelt beside him, stunned. There was no time to grieve. Explosions rocked the corridors. Screams echoed through Hogwarts. Harry, Ron, and Hermione raced toward the source of the chaos. Giants were smashing the walls, spiders pouring in from the Forbidden Forest. Grop, Hagrid's giant half-brother, was fighting back. In the Great Hall, Professors McGonagall, Flitwick, and Sprout battled alongside students. Voldemort's army was breaching every defense. Then a new disturbance. Snape. He strode into the hall, robes billowing. McGonagall stepped forward. Leave. Snape raised his wand. They dueled, sparks of green and red lighting the hall. Then Flitwick and Sprout joined her. Snape retreated. He fled through the halls. Harry, Ron, and Hermione gave chase. As they reached the astronomy tower, they saw him vanish, a bat-like shadow fleeing into the night. McGonagall turned to them, breathless. He's gone. Hogwarts is ours again. She organized defenses. Students were placed by age and ability. The underaged were evacuated through Aberforth's tunnel. The rest would stay and fight. In a quiet moment, Harry wandered into Dumbledore's old office. The pensieve waited. But before he could use it, a cold voice echoed through the air. Voldemort. You have let your friends die for you, Harry Potter. Come to me in the Forbidden Forest, or they will all fall. Harry turned away from the window. The decision loomed ahead. But he had one more truth to uncover first. One more memory. One final key to it all. Chapter 31. The Battle of Hogwarts. The Great Hall bristled with tension. Under the star-splattered ceiling, McGonagall addressed the school with calm urgency. Evacuation plans were set. But when Pansy Parkinson shouted, "He's there! Potter's there!" the students stood, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, between Harry and the Slytherins. McGonagall dismissed Pansy and began evacuating underage students. The rest prepared to fight. "Potter," she said, turning to Harry, "aren't you supposed to be looking for something?" "Right, yeah," Harry muttered, suddenly remembering the Horcrux. Lost in confusion without Ron or Hermione, Harry wandered the halls until nearly headless Nick helped him find the Grey Lady, the ghost of Helena Ravenclaw. She resisted him, proud and cold, but Harry's urgency pierced her. "I stole the diadem," she confessed at last. "To be cleverer than my mother, I hid it in Albania." And then, ashamed, she admitted, "Tom Riddle charmed it from me." Harry's mind raced. Riddle had hidden it in the Room of Requirement, the same place Harry once stashed his potions book. Just then, Hagrid crashed through a window, flung there by Grop. "Harry, you're here!" he roared. Together they raced through the castle. On the way, Harry passed Sprout leading students with mandrakes, portraits reporting attacks, and Fred organizing defenses with Lee and Hannah. At last, he turned a corner, and there were Ron and Hermione, arms full of basilisk fangs. "Chamber of Secrets," Ron said breathlessly. "Killed the cup. Hermione did the honors." Harry laughed with relief, but time pressed. "The diadem. I know where it is." The ground shook. Dust fell. Overhead, the castle was under siege. The hunt wasn't over. But now, they had a target, and the means to destroy it. Chapter 32. The Elder Wand. The Room of Requirement twisted itself into a vast junkyard, a cathedral of forgotten things. Harry, Ron, and Hermione crept through the clutter, eyes on the bust with the lost diadem. But they weren't alone. Draco Malfoy, flanked by Crabbe and Goyle, stepped from the shadows. "Expelliarmus!" Malfoy shouted. Harry dodged. Chaos erupted. Spells flew, sparks lighting the mountains of trash. Then Crabbe, grinning madly, unleashed fiend fire, a cursed fire that devoured all. "Are you insane?" Malfoy shrieked. The fire surged like a beast, incinerating everything. Harry grabbed the diadem. The trio scrambled for safety, dragging Malfoy and Goyle with them. Crabbe vanished into the flames. They burst from the room just as the fire consumed it. Harry looked down. The diadem, cracked and smoldering, was destroyed. Another Horcrux gone. But no time to rest. The battle raged. They raced through the castle, Percy dueling alongside Fred, Flitwick hurling spells, Trelawney dropping crystal balls. Suddenly, the wall exploded. Fred was thrown back, still laughing. Then he lay still. Grief slammed into Harry. Ron bellowed in fury, chasing after Death Eaters. Hermione screamed his name. Harry followed, heart pounding. Outside, the grounds were chaos. Giants, spiders, curses flying. Through the storm, he saw Voldemort, and beside him, Snape. Inside his mind, Harry saw another flash. Voldemort stood in the shrieking shack. "The wand is not truly mine," he whispered to Snape. "The Elder Wand belongs to the one who disarmed its last master." Snape turned. Voldemort slashed his wand. Nagini struck. Harry, hidden nearby, froze in horror. As Voldemort left, Harry ran to Snape. Blood gushed from his throat. Desperate, Snape pressed a flask into Harry's hand. "Take it. Memory," he gasped. "Look at me." Snape's eyes locked on Harry's, then went still. The truth lay in Harry's hands. The battle paused. The end drew near. Chapter 33, The Prince's Tale. The battle raged around him, but Harry moved as if underwater, Snape's dying words echoing in his mind. He raced to Dumbledore's office, heart pounding, carrying the small flask filled with Snape's final memories. In the Pensieve, Harry dove into Snape's life. He saw a young boy with greasy hair and sad eyes watching a girl with red hair, Lily. They were children, inseparable. She was his light, but time twisted them apart. Snape sorted into Slytherin, Lily into Gryffindor. He made dark friends, spoke cruel words. The night he called her Mudblood broke everything. Yet even as their friendship ended, his love endured. Harry watched Dumbledore and Snape's uneasy alliance form. After Voldemort targeted the Potters, Snape pleaded for Lily's life. When she died, he was shattered. "I have spied for you, lied for you, put myself in mortal danger," Snape told Dumbledore. "All for Lily." The memories shifted. Snape watching over Harry, Snape guarding him at Hogwarts, Snape casting the Doe Patronus, Lily's Patronus. Dumbledore's voice echoed. "After all this time, Snape, always." Harry gasped. He saw Snape's horror as Dumbledore's hand withered from the curse. The plan: to let Snape kill him, spare Draco, maintain his cover, and then truth. Voldemort must kill Harry himself. The boy is a Horcrux. Harry staggered back from the Pensieve. He had to die. To defeat Voldemort, he had to give himself up. And Snape, bitter, cold, brave, had loved his mother. Always. Chapter 34, The Forest Again. The castle trembled. Screams echoed through the halls. But Harry no longer ran. He moved calmly, as if wrapped in glass. Ron and Hermione tried to stop him. "What are you doing?" "It's got to be me," Harry said. "I'm the last Horcrux." He left without waiting for arguments, walking through shattered corridors and burning stairwells. Along the way, he passed bodies. Lupin, Tonks, Fred. His heart broke. But he didn't stop. Outside, the forbidden forest loomed. Voldemort waited. Harry paused beneath a tree and took out the snitch. "I open at the close." It opened. Inside, the resurrection stone. He turned it in his hand. Figures appeared. Lily, James, Sirius, Remus, pale, ghost-like, but smiling. "Does it hurt?" Harry whispered. James answered, "Not at all." "Sirius, we're here until the end." With their silent comfort, Harry walked into the trees. He reached the clearing. Death Eaters surrounded Voldemort. Nagini coiled beside him. Harry stepped forward. "I'm here," he said. Voldemort turned, the boy who lived, again. Harry closed his eyes. Avada Kedavra. Green light. Silence. Chapter 35, King's Cross. Harry floated in a vast, misty space, white and endless. He was lying down, clothed but barefoot, without pain or weight. Everything was quiet, warm, strangely peaceful. The noise of the battle, the agony of the curse, all gone. Nearby, under a bench, something lay huddled and twitching, small, raw, broken. He looked away, a deep revulsion rising in him. Then, soft footsteps, a familiar voice. "Harry." Dumbledore appeared, smiling gently, robes flowing as if moved by a breeze that didn't exist. "Where are we?" Harry asked. "King's Cross," Dumbledore said with a trace of amusement, or something like it. "This is your mind, Harry." Harry frowned. "Am I dead?" "Not quite. That part of Voldemort that lived in you is gone. The curse destroyed it, not you." Harry glanced at the twisted thing under the bench. "Is that what I think it is? The last piece of him that lived inside you." They sat on a white bench, the endless light all around them. Dumbledore spoke of the Elder Wand, how he once sought the Hallows out of pride and fear, and how Grindelwald had corrupted his ideals. "I was young. I wanted to make the world better through power, and I paid the price." Harry listened silently. "You are the better man," Dumbledore said, "because you have chosen love, not ambition." Harry turned to the thing beneath the bench again. "Can that be helped?" Dumbledore's eyes filled with sorrow. "No help for it now. It is beyond saving." They sat a moment longer. "Do not pity the dead, Harry," Dumbledore said softly. "Pity the living, and above all, those who live without love." Harry breathed deeply. "Can I go back?" "Yes, but only if you wish to." Harry stood slowly. He thought of Ron and Hermione, of Hogwarts, of the fight that wasn't over. "Then I'm going back," he said, and the white world faded into darkness.